Welcome to all the students of Sri Sid Vidyapeeth School. Today we are going to continue the chapter 11 of Science of Class 6, which is light. So what is light? Light is a form of energy. As we cannot see an object in the darkness, we need any source of light to make the object visible. During the day, sun's light allows us to see objects. At night, artificial light makes us see objects. So, light enables us to see objects from which it comes from and from which it reflected light. And generally, mostly, very importantly, we detect every light with our eyes. Now, what are the sources of light? So, an object which gives out light is called sources of light. In oil lamp, candle, torch, firefly, etc. The most important sources of light is as for us is the sun, because it is about 150 kilometer away from us, and its like make the daytime bright on the earth. At night, when we use an electric bulb, tube light, lamp are the sources of light. Now, there are generally two types of sources. The first one is natural source of light, and the second one is man-made source of light. So what do you mean by natural source of light? Those sources of light which occurs in nature as such are called natural sources of light. For examples, sun, stars, meteors, fireflies are some natural sources of light. What are man-made sources of light? So those sources of light which have been made by a man are called man-made sources of light. तो नेचुरल सोर्सेस उन्हीं को बोलते हैं जो हमें नेचुरली मिलते हैं, जैसे कि सन, स्टार्स, मून्स, फायरफ्लाइज. और मैन मेड सोर्सेज यानी जो सोर्सेज हम लोग खुद से बनाते हैं, मैन मेड होता है, जहाँ से हम लोगों को लाइट मिलता है. फॉर एग्जांपल इलेक्ट्रिक बल्ब, केरोसिन ऑयल लैम्प, kerosene oil lamp, candle, torch are some sources of light. Now, there are two types of objects. For the first one is luminous objects and the second one is non-luminous objects. So what do you mean by luminous object? An object which gives out its own light is called luminous objects. तो खुद ही का light खुद ही देता है, उसको कहा जाता है luminous objects. ये सारे जो हैं ये luminous objects हैं. As luminous objects gives their own light, they can even see in the dark. Okay, the object which does not give out its own light is called non-luminous object. For example, table, chair, book, flower pots, these are non-luminous objects because ये हमें lights नहीं दे सकते हैं. Non-luminous objects can be seen. For example, moon is a non-luminous object. तो मून खुद का लाइट नहीं देता है, क्योंकि मून जो है वो सनलाइट से रिफ्लेक्ट करता है और फिर हम उससे ही मून में एक रोशनी देख सकते हैं. When the sunlight falls on the surface of moon, then some of the light is reflected by the moon towards the earth. As to us, it appears as if the light is being given out the moon itself. But moon is the sunlight which reflected from the surface of moon. Okay. Now what do you mean by some topics which are known as transparent, translucent and opaque materials? So what are opaque and transparent materials? Because depending on their behavior towards the light, all the materials can be classified as transparent, translucent or opaque objects. Okay. The first one is, what do you mean by transparent materials or objects? Those materials which allow the light to pass through them are called transparent material. जो materials light जो लाइट को अलाउ करता है पास करने से उसके अंदर से, तो वो सारे मटेरियल्स को कहा जाता है ट्रांसपेरेंट मटेरियल्स. फॉर एग्जांपल ग्लास, पॉलीथीन, एयर, वाटर, ऑयल. If we look at a burning candle through a sheet of clear glass, we can see the candle and its flame clearly. This is because glass is a transparent material which allows the light, all the light coming from the candle and its flame to pass through it. The window panes in our homes are usually made up of transparent glass. Our spectacular. What do you mean by opaque objects? So those materials which do not allow any light to pass through them are called opaque objects. Okay, जहाँ से कोई भी लाइट पास नहीं करता है उनको कहा जाता है, वो सारे मटेरियल्स को कहा जाता है opaque materials, like cardboard, books, doors, metal sheets, brick walls, stones, etc. Opaque objects do not allow light to pass through them because they absorb or reflect all the lights falling on them. And students, there is a very good condition, there is a very important condition here, is that lights always travels in a straight line. Light हमेशा straight line में ही travel होता है. Like if we shine a torch at dark night, we will see the beam of light always produced and travels in the straight line into darkness. Okay, now let us do some activity which is based on the rectilinear propagation of light. Firstly, you have to fix a lighted candle on a table. Take a rubber tube, stretch it straight and look through it at the flame of the candle with one eye. We will find that when the rubber tube is straight, we can see the light of candle flame through it. Okay, now bend the rubber tube a little and look through it at the candle flame again. We cannot see the light of the candle flame through a bent rubber tube. This means that the light of candle flame can travel through the hole of straight rubber tube but not through the bent rubber tube. Okay, that traveling is known as propagation of rectilinear propagation of light. So there is some other activities also. You have to fix here 3 cardboards vertically on the table in such a way that there are holes in a straight line, and from through you can see that the light will passes. Okay, so just read those activities in your home. Here also there is a pinhole camera which shows that light always travel in a straight line. So the pinhole camera consists of a closed box having a small pinhole in front and a translucent screen at the back. एक small pinhole कैमरा रहेगा एक बॉक्स के pinhole के सामने और एक translucent screen रहेगा उसके पीछे. The translucent screen at the back of the pinhole camera box is made up of butter paper or some tracing paper, and butter paper or tracing paper acts as a screen to receive the image of the object. Since butter paper is translucent, some light can pass through it, due to which we can see the image formed on it by keeping our eye behind the pinhole camera. So what are its uses? It is usually used to view the images of various objects like trees and buildings. तो पिनहोल कैमरा जनरली यूज़ किया जाता है बहुत सारे ऑब्जेक्ट्स का इमेजेस देखने के लिए, जैसे कि ट्रीज और बिल्डिंग्स. इट कैन बी ऑल्सो यूज टू टेक फोटोग्राफ ऑफ एन ऑब्जेक्ट इफ द फोटोग्राफिक फिल्म is placed on the screen. So what is the principle of the pinhole camera? Okay, if you look into a pinhole camera by keeping our eye at its back, you can see the image on the tree and the screen. This is because some of the light coming from the tree passes through the pinhole to form an image on the screen. Okay. Now what do you understood by the term inverted images? The upside down image of an object formed by a pinhole camera, जो एक ऊपर नीचे वाला जो एक इमेज बनता है ऑब्जेक्ट का पिन होल कैमरा के थ्रू, उसी को कहा जाता है इन्वर्टेड इमेज. एन इन्वर्टेड इमेज इज फॉर्म्ड इन अ पिन होल कैमरा because the light rays coming from the top and the bottom of the object crosses over at the pinhole. What are the main characteristics of the image in a pinhole camera? So the some characteristics where the image in a pinhole camera is inverted as compared to the object. The image in the pinhole camera is real because it can be formed on a screen. The image in a pinhole camera is of the same color as the object. The image in a pinhole camera can be smaller than the object or equal to the object or bigger than the objects. A pinhole camera can also be used to take the photographer of an object if the photographic film is placed on the screen. Okay. Now the most important thing, what is a shadow? What do you understand by a shadow? When an object is placed in front of a source of light, it produces a shade or a dark area behind it. जब भी कोई भी ऑब्जेक्ट कोई प्रोड्यूस करेगा, जिसको जनरली शैडो कहा जाता है. An opaque object stops the light completely. So an opaque object कभी भी कोई shadow उसमें नहीं होगा. ट्रांसलूसेंट ऑब्जेक्ट में का जो शेडो होगा वो बहुत ही वीक होगा, यानी बहुत ही हल्का होगा. लेकिन जो ट्रांसपेरेंट ऑब्जेक्ट से शेडो होगा वो बहुत ही अच्छा होगा एंड इट विल मेक अ वेरी बिग शेडो. What are the characteristics of shadow of an object? The shadow of an object is erect, that is same side up as the object. The shadow of an object is real. The irrespective of the color of the shadow is always black. The shadow can be smaller than object, equal to bigger than object. What are the difference between pinhole image and shadow? The pinhole image of an object is inverted, whereas the shadow of an object is erect. The pinhole image of an object of the color of the object, but the shadow of an object is always black. So students, with this the chapter has ended. Read the chapter carefully to understand properly. Write all the notes in your fair copy and learn it properly. If you all have any doubt in any part of the chapter, you can ask me. I am going to clear your doubt. Till then, stay safe in your home and study well for the examination. Thank you.